if I had an interpersonal conflict with a friend, I wouldn't take it to social media, but I'm not famous. Right?
Exactly.
In that sort of environment, it's like, yeah, address it with the person. However, if you are on a reality show, your fans are wondering why you're not hanging out anymore. I can see where she was coming from. And yeah, she was hurt. Was it a perfect move? Of course not. Is she kind of tired of this shit? Yeah, I think so.
Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or fact-based reality. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. We're heading right back to that selling sunset time. Selling sunset time. Selling sunset time. Going to that reunion time, finishing it up. We only have a page and a half left of notes, so we're going to just have this be a part 2.
Part 2, as the kids say.
I love it. Part 2. Oui, très bien. Mais oui.
I don't know very much French, but I do. I remember Part 2. I feel like that was on like MTV or something, like Part 2.
That makes sense.
Something like that. I don't know what from or for, but anyway.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, like un, deux, trois, 1, 2, 3. I feel like people know that too sometimes. Like I know uno, dos, tres. Actually, I know up to 10 in Spanish, but that's where that ends.
That is impressive. I think I've got Spanish. That's it. I might have known. Yeah, there was a German song at one point where I knew more numbers, but I forgot them all.
That's like the thing that helps is music. I learned the 1 through 10 in Spanish because of a plastic cup that was a kid's cup at a restaurant we used to have in our area. They had these. They would teach you the 1 through 10 in Spanish for when I was a kid when I learned it. So now I've always known it. But yeah, French I know all the way through. But then German, I feel like if it was a song, I could totally get that. So maybe we find that song, learn some German just for fun.
Absolutely. Yes, please. Guten Tag. I don't know.
Guten motherfucking Tag about it. Yes. I feel like now we're at the age where instead of learning numbers, we learn the like cheers in different languages, like skål for like
Prost.
Swedish, prost, and skål for Viking languages of some sort, Scandinavian languages, and chin chin for French.
I'm so jealous that I don't know more languages. Like, I feel like it's a huge downfall of the way that Americans, or a lot of white Americans are raised, where they don't know multiple languages. I feel like I wish that so much that, when that language acquisition device was going, that I had learned multiple languages. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's a product of imperialism, totally. Like we decided everyone should know English, so we don't need to teach our children any other language.
Womp womp.
Yep. We might not be the superpower for long, though, so
no.
Soon that might change again. Yeah. Well, on that note, we have decided we're going to forego reality check this episode because this is really a part 2 to our prior Selling Sunset reunion part. And I don't know if you have like a 1 or 2 line about check-in you just want to give. I can also think of just a 1 or 2 line on that.
I got this. Diddy documentary. I watched all 4 parts. It is so good.
Is it? Amazing.
So compulsively watchable. I was so surprised with everything that I learned. And yeah, I had some involvement and knowledge of like what happened with Cassie. But just hearing more about the history of harm that he has caused and the way that he's comported himself since the 90s.
80s even, really, right? I think like in the late 80s. Yeah.
And all of the harm he's done to people. And it was just really disturbing. And it sounds like he killed Pac, which is wild.
Yeah, I 100% believe that. by the way. Yeah. I heard a deep dive there's a podcaster who does true crime, and I feel like her name is Rotten Mango. And she did this one about why did he kill Tupac? And I 100% believe it. Like, it makes so much sense. And then on top of that, I think he killed Kim Porter, or he killed, I think he killed someone for accusing him of that. Maybe it's not Kim Porter, because I know he also killed Kim Porter, his girlfriend or wife or whatever. He killed her for sure.
Really?
But yeah, 100%. Like, that one's like pretty well established. But then he also, there's like one of the most horrific rapes I've ever heard of from him. It was like one of the most horrific, and it was gang rape that he perpetrated against this woman. It all started with her accusing him of killing Tupac. That's like what led to the whole night of events. So I'm like positive he's like defending against people thinking that because he did it.
He's a really shitty person.
Horrific. Like, when you really hear the stories of the people accusing him of, like, the reports, they're all too distinct. Like, it's not like someone just rinse and repeats a story. It's like these stories are so specific and so awful. And so there are themes, that make it clear it's definitely him, but doing it. The other thing too,
the drugging of people. It's like the same thing again and again since the late 80s. So sad.
Yeah. And it all starts with him feeling like, I think, repressed gay. Like, I think he has been repressed gay for a long time. And then it comes out as really, like, his fascination with Tupac is actually, like, I think, like, a jealousy, like, wants to be with Tupac, that then wanted to be Tupac, and then ended up in him having to kill Tupac.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's some dark shit. Okay, so that's interesting, because I started that documentary, and I felt like it was too pro Diddy. Like, I felt like it wasn't getting into the, like, so I think I just gave up too early. But, like, because there have been documentaries on both sides. Like, there have been ones that, like, right away make it clear, like, this guy's a fucking monster. And there have been ones where it's like, well, it's also his childhood friend, like, telling us about how in childhood he just, like, really wanted to, like, do well, or, it's sort of like, I don't need that. I don't need the humanizing touch. Like, this guy's a fucking monster. Goodbye. Enough said.
There is a bit of, like, armchair psychology from his friends, but I think as the documentary goes on, I think you will see how those people, cop to being victimized by him as well. And so I think, like, so I think it gets there. I think it takes its time. I agree. The first episode, I was a little like, I don't really need all this for the perpetrator. I don't need to understand him. But
I feel like I do. Like, I feel like I do understand him. And I have seen, like, one before where I did get into the, like, what are the childhood friend thing. So I felt like I sort of have seen this side of it. You're right. Like, I think there's a reason to know a little bit of it. But, like, unless you're going to get to the point where you're saying they did, I don't want to hear it. So now knowing that they got to the point where, like, even those people were like, no, but this guy, nightmare, that makes me feel better. Yeah.
There is it. In ways that were surprising. And the number of men who he sexually assaulted, including some of those that you get to meet in that first episode. It's, I don't know. It just goes to show you that internalized homophobia is really problematic. That's not all. That is not all of the story, but I think it's a part of it.
Right. No, it definitely is. And it shows how dangerous our, like, cis-sexist and homophobic culture is, that it makes someone go to that degree to hide their gay, like, feelings, and maybe even, like, hide it from yourself, right? Like, to what degree did he know? How early? I'm assuming he knew, but yeah, some of the stuff with Usher too. Like, I don't know if you heard the Usher testimony. I mean, the whole court process, I was, like, watching, like, intently. So I learned so much from that too. It's just so sad. It's so sad. This guy.
I'm gonna have to go back into all the court stuff, because
you should.
And all of the jurors, they had some jurors on in episode 4, and they really liked him. Like, and he kept looking at them, and I was like, what the fuck? How did they get these jurors? Like, it was so biased. I was like, damn. They were like,
learn from that. Yeah,
it was really weird. Yeah, I would definitely recommend.
That's how it felt.
Yeah, I would recommend the doc. I think it's good. I think it gets there. But I think maybe trying to have its cake and eat it too. But ultimately, it comes down painting a pretty negative portrait of this guy is where I land by the end.
Good. And that, like, a questionable view of the jury too, it sounds like, which is definitely questionable. So
I was like, what the fuck? This woman she was like smiling, and I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I really like Diddy. Or no, she didn't. She said, I'm not pro Diddy, but I really like this artist who he, like, was a part of. And she's like, yeah, him and I made eye contact a few times, and we just understood each other. And I was like, what is happening?
Bam. Sit your ass back down in the audience, not the juror seat, please. That is atrocious.
Wild.
This man. Dude.
Very biased, but
the fact he can have that effect is scary. I mean, that should say even more about how dangerous he is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, well, great check-in. I think I couldn't even just ride with that because that is something that's been on my mind too lately with that documentary coming out, and I'm glad to hear that it's something I could get more to where I wanted it to go by the time we finish it. And then I will also say I have black fingers here, as you'll see on my fingertips, because I got henna at our self-care fair that we threw at our program this past week. So if you notice that there's like ink on my fingers, that's what that is from henna. And they are, it's cute little hearts. It was a great self-care fair. So that was really what my mind has been on lately. So I'm happy to be done with it, and also that it went so well.
The students seemed thrilled and very relaxed, and I think it is just what they needed at this time of the year.
Yeah, it's much needed. Truly. Yeah. And it was fun. It was great. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to see you there.
Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's fucking get right back into this. So we were trying to figure out where even we were, but we have figured out where we were. So we're going to go with that. And again, it's my page. So this was my page. So I'll just jump right in. So we were talking, thank you so much. We were talking about how one of the last things we said from the last time was that Emma said to Chriselle, if you know the feeling about, because this is something where Chriselle was sort of like, yeah, I get it. Like, you know, I've had people say shit about me on social media too. And so Emma was like, yeah, but then if you know what it's like, why would you do that to me? You knew it would hurt me and my business. And you know all I do for my family. And then Chriselle interrupted and was like, do not speak to me from some high place. Like, why are you upset about me repeating something that your boyfriend said? And so that was another moment where I sort of was like, okay, so this is part of what Chriselle is uncomfortable about with Emma, is sort of this like elitism thing, or like, so who's, you know, high and mighty, or she just seems to be really activated by that sense, which I brought up in the last episode. Mary ends up asking Chriselle what her purpose was in going to social media. Chriselle was sort of saying, well, at that point it was over. Like, I wasn't going to fix it, so that's how it was going to go. Didn't totally answer her question, to be fair. But 10 then asks everybody, do you think it's easy to use social media for your problems? Do you think it's fair? Not easy. I mean, hopefully it's not easy. But do you think it's fair to use social media for your problems? Most people said no. But I appreciate that Chriselle was sort of like, we are on a reality show. Like, people do want to know. Yeah, they want to know what's going on. So,
like, if I had an interpersonal conflict with a friend, I wouldn't take it to social media, but I'm not famous. Right?
Exactly.
In that sort of environment, it's like, address it with the person. However, if you are on a reality show, your fans are wondering why you're not hanging out anymore. I can see where she was coming from. And she was hurt. Was it a perfect move? Of course not. Is she kind of tired of this shit? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the piece that's also there, is that she felt like she had gone to Emma. You know, she felt like she had tried everything with Emma directly and it wasn't working. So then, as a way of getting back at Emma for lying to her about where she was, she put it on social media. And it definitely was not a great move. And also, it is more understandable than I think people would give her credit from our position, who are not famous. And like, Mary was like, well, everyone's entitled to some sort of privacy. I agree with that too. And I think Chriselle agrees with that. And I think that's not really the point she's trying to make. I think she's trying to say, like, I got to the point where, like, nobody was listening to me. Nobody cared what I was caring about. I felt like my identity was under attack. I felt like my partner's identity was under attack. And the only way I'm going to get listened to about that is if I make it public. So I think that's fair. So Bree then hops in and says, well, I just think that's your best friend, so there's no reason for that. And she goes, I don't talk to you anymore. We're not friends, but I still don't believe in doing that. And then Chriselle brings up something about Bree saying that G to someone who worked for her. Oh, she said, so then she says, well, you said something to someone who worked for you about G, like sort of saying, like, you already said something publicly, basically, about G that was fucked up. It ends up being in a fight with Bree and Chriselle that devolves quite quickly. And she goes, bitch, you fuck off. It's my turn to speak. And then Chriselle goes, you fuck off. And then Mary was like, grow up. So then Bree says to Chriselle, you're a mean girl bully.
Yeah. Which I don't like Bree saying that. It's kind of like, I don't know, turning the tables in that way. What were we talking about last week? Oh my gosh, or not last week. There's a thing where, like, what is the show that it's on where, I watched Below Deck, the last season of Below Deck. And there is this chef, like Serena, what is her name? Have you watched this?
No.
And then this, like, very pretty, very clearly in the power-up position, popular girl, Chief Stew.
Yep.
And it's just so clear that the Chief Stew is in the power position and was doing all these very subtle, weird things to kind of sabotage the chef. The chef said one shady thing one time, and then the chief stew was able to like cite that as like, see, like, yeah, I've just been victimized by this person all season. It's like, you've been pulling a lot of weird moves. And I feel like with Brie, I don't know if Brie is necessarily in the power up position with Chrishell. I actually don't know that that's true.
Yeah.
There may be.
Not by herself, but she has Mary and so then it puts her in that. Yeah.
Right. But it's like Brie, like her calling other people mean girls, like Brie can be a bit of a mean girl herself. I don't think that's her first move, but she'll go there. So I don't know. I just don't actually think that Chrishell is a mean girl. I think she's coming from a place, like you mentioned last time, of like trauma and hurt.
And defensiveness. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like defending against this kind of nightmare of a bunch of people going against her. And actually Chrishell sort of says that. She's like, I'm a bitch, you're a bitch. And then, or mean girl bully. And then Brie goes, well, I stand 10 toes down. I'm always a bitch. I've always said I'm a bitch. So it's sort of like that position where she's like, well, I can say it because I already say that about myself. So of course I can say you're a bully too. Which I also don't think fully gives that justification. Mary ends up being like, this is fucking ridiculous, and walks off. So then they break for lunch. And at the beginning of break, this is where I saw Brie in a way that I was like, because I've always liked Brie. And in the way she was fighting with Chrishell, I was like, that's awful, you're annoying. But like, I still was like, whatever. But then seeing how she was over break, I was like, oh no, I don't like you at all anymore. Okay, got it. And I didn't know yet, you told me in our last session about how she said that about pronouns. So I didn't know yet that she said she doesn't do pronouns. Now that I know that, I'm definitely out. But prior to that, I was like, okay, maybe she's just whatever. But then in this case, during the break, she goes, I'm going to collect these bitches. Let's fucking go. Get the fuck out of my face, fake ass bitch. And then she says to her assistant, she goes, what we're going to do is give Brie her phone and do it right now. Like, ooh, it made my skin crawl. I was like, how can you talk to somebody like that? That is so disrespectful. Ew.
It's too much. It's
too much.
Yeah. I like the version of her that's like, shoots from the hip, has her thing with Nick Cannon, and like doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks. But as someone who has like a non-traditional relationship, you would think she would have more empathy for Chrishell in that way.
Yes. Yes. Totally.
But, yeah.
Well, also I think the way that she puts herself out there, she's like, I'm a bad bitch, but I'm also a loyal friend. And it's like, but then you should be loyal friends to like everybody on the show, frankly, because you're all in this together. You're all struggling through something that could be understood as basically traumatic, right? Like what they go through on these reality TV shows. And so like seeing her sort of not be loyal, there should be some degree of loyalty still to everybody, even if you're more friends with Mary or whatever. So yeah, it doesn't really fit her image for me, I think. What she tries.
It feels too like Emma sitting by Brie is like, it feels like Brie is almost, it's like Emma's like a chess piece in their game. And I don't like it, if that makes
100%,
sense.
100%. Like, I do not think Emma is a real friend to Brie. Like, I don't think Brie thinks of Emma as a real friend. I think she thinks of her as like somebody she can use against Chrishell. I totally agree. And having not seen the season, I felt that way. So I totally think you're right. That makes tons of sense. So also before we move on from the part about this group, because then we're going to talk in a second about the OC ladies, I'll just do my We Spotted Therapy segment because I gave that to Emma. I think it seems like she's been to therapy, especially because of her awareness of the factors that played into her situation with Blake. Like her awareness to be like, right, like I was a third boyfriend kind of person. Like he was my third boyfriend. I know that like I was in love and like that was the problem that sort of made me blind to these things. And then also the way she was talking about her emotional awareness, like she was sort of like, right, like I never cry, so the fact I cried was a big deal. You know, those kinds of things feel like something that a therapist would be able to highlight for her as important, relevant stuff. It could easily be a PR person. So it could turn out it's not a therapist at all. It was a PR person. But something about that was at least increasing her self-awareness in a way that I thought was important. And then I thought that I hoped she might help, a therapist I would hope also might help her think about why she's gained, or like what she is gaining from sneaking around with Blake until she's caught by the paparazzi, because something about that excites her. Like that's clearly an element of it that she's liking about what's going on with Blake, where she was like, like I tell them we're done and then they, they see me with him, like as if like that's not the issue. Like the issue isn't that she's with him again, it's that they see her with him. Like, so there's something about that that's exciting to her that I think could use a little bit of focus with somebody. Okay. So
and the wishy-washy, like to not stand on it. I think Chrishell was confused, and also I'm forgetting this. Did Emma ever say that their relationship was abusive, or was that Mary like putting that on their her
Not even
relationship?
Mary. I think it was Chriselle and
Oh,
Chelsea
okay.
who called it toxic. Yeah, they called it toxic, which like then I think someone else was sort of like, is it a, it's sort of like an abusive one. So like that one was a little bit more gray area, but the toxic was like hands down said about their relationship. Yeah.
And am I remembering maybe that Mary was then like, how could you post it on social media? Like, which I guess
If
is
you
a
think
fair
it's
point.
yeah.
I don't know, but I still don't. Yeah. I
Mary's
don't know.
point was like, you both say that you've now shared her private details. By bringing up that she was calling you from the bathroom, you're suggesting that it's like an abusive relationship and you're sharing her private details by doing that. And then you're also abandoning her by what you did on social media. So like, how can you do both those things? And I think that is a great point, but I don't think it's the point, I think there's many points that are relevant in both directions, but
Totally.
right. So it's like, I get her. And also it's like, but it's more complicated. So then, like, hard motherfucking pivot to like, okay, the OC leaders are coming in, which was like, not great, not a great vibe. Didn't do it well. I didn't think either. They sort of was like, it started by asking like, what do you think is the most? They started by asking the boys, the Oppenheim group. They're like, what is your most successful selling Sunset franchise right now? And they're like, oh, that's OC. They're like, okay, that's great. Let's bring the OC ladies out then. It's like, what a weird way to do this. It's silly. So they come out. One of the women, they show us a preview, which honestly I was like, okay, there's a lot going on in there. That's kind of interesting. But then there were two things that happened right away that were sociopolitical that I sort of was like, whoa. One was that one of the new women from the OC was pregnant. I mean, no, just had a baby. Just kidding. She was pregnant in the trailers, but she had just had a baby. And so then they said, you just had a baby. And she goes, well, yeah, like I left my baby with my mom, who was a NICU nurse. And therefore, da-da-da-da. And it was sort of like, that's so interesting. She felt like she had to include that her mom's a NICU nurse. Like she was only allowed to leave her baby at home if her mom's a NICU nurse. Otherwise, right. So it was like protecting against mom shaming. And I just like felt bad for her that she felt like she had to do that. And also that's true. Like she probably did have to do that. Probably I bet people were like, why would you leave your baby 3 weeks later? And she had to say also, she's like, it's my first time leaving my baby. It's like all these things that the qualifiers to like make it okay that she was there. I just felt sad about that. And it's a societal issue. Yeah. And then the other thing that Tan did right away, he brought up that one of them was like 22 or 23 and he called her a baby. And I actually like find that very annoying. And as somebody who like, I'm now the one, usually like the older one in certain groups. So like, that doesn't happen to me as often. I'm sure it did plenty of times in my past, but it's just, I find that rude because then that person's like, oh, now I'm treated as the baby. Like it just, I find it happens a lot on Perfect Match. It happens a lot where they're like, oh, you're this, you're the baby. And you hear people say like, I hate when people say that to me because it's annoying. Like, okay, they're younger.
It's a head pat kind of thing.
Right. And I've noticed that it's like, the person who's older, it's like their version of like feeling less bad about the fact they're older. Like it's actually like the person who's older is really the person who thinks that they're the ones in the power down position because that's why they're saying it, is to be like, oh, you're just a baby, so that they feel better about the fact that they're in their 30s or whatever. So like it comes from that type of ageism, but it comes out as ageism against younger people, or like age-related bias, I should say, because they're all in the dominant age group. But so I just was like, ugh. But yeah, so those are my two sociopolitical sort of like side notes. So then Alex, I don't know these people. Alex is one of the women though, from the OC.
I don't know them either. I don't watch OC.
Yeah. No, I have zero interest in it as well, if I'm honest. So then Alex says that she rolls with the punches of the newbies. I try to keep my distance if the energy's off, which reminded me, by the way, of what Chriselle was saying. So that's why I wanted to include that. They said, did you get any help from the LA crew? And she said, well, a few of them came down and were tremendous help. And Amanda at that point goes like, oh, like, yay, and like smiles like, ooh, that was me, like I came and helped. And then immediately Alex goes, for example, Alana and Bree like does not mention Amanda at all. It was so shitty. I know, it was such shade, like especially when Amanda was like so excited to have been part of that, but she like immediately shaded Amanda. And I think again it spoke to the fact that like these factions that are happening between these two groups of women on whatever this one is, the flagship, let's say the flagship Selling Sunset, that those are bleeding into two factions happening on OC as well.
Oh, and Amanda's just the best. I don't know. She's really, I think if I were to think about who I would want to hang out with from that show, it would be Amanda. Like she seems real. Like a really fun person.
Yeah. She seems very real, like very authentic, which I like.
Yeah. Oh, poor thing. I feel bad. Yeah. I forgot that I kind of tuned out during that spot because I was like, I don't give a shit about OC. So I'm glad you paid attention and found some richness there.
Yeah, no, it didn't truly matter. It's true. Okay, good.
No,
I'm glad.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you did.
There were some
There
good things to
was
take from it. Yeah. Totally.
absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
So then at the end, we've got the focus on Mary. So Romaine is brought out. They discuss being robbed, which was a big deal and I think was really hard on her. Mary said, I love my house. I tried to make it a sanctuary again, but maybe I'll move to Bali or something.
Yeah.
But
I have a
see that
segment here too.
segment. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. So, I can't remember where I think it was something like I wanted this. So I have two parts, so that's why I sort of I like did it twice. But for this is something we wish people knew more about. I just wanted to point out that what Mary is saying is about having a secure base and having a safe haven, and that's attachment issue. Like we need to be able to have a place that we feel safe in, and therefore, like it means like creating a sanctuary. She's exactly right. Like that makes it very traumatizing to not have a safe space, and it makes sense that she's worried she might never feel safe there again because of being robbed. So I felt badly for her because she spent so much time in the old seasons trying to make this her home, and now it's been unsafe. Yeah.
Yeah, poor thing. I mean, and so many during the season, they showed us the house and all of the jewelry that she had that got robbed. And I think she's someone who came from pretty modest means and did work really hard. Again, bootstrap shit is bullshit. I don't agree with that sort of mentality at all or that kind of narrative. And she is someone who worked very hard for her money and like bought a lot of nice things that were taken. And I think, and also I think some jewelry maybe from like people who had passed. So it was really hard. I really felt for her.
It's awful.
It's robberies do feel, I think, like such a violation.
Yeah, they truly do. That's awful.
That's all I got on that. Oh, wait, no, I'm up. That's right. I'm doing this. I was like, okay, good. It's my turn to talk again.
We're both looking at each other like, yep.
Yes. Yes. It's like, yes. So Chelsea said that no matter if someone is her biggest enemy, I don't wish that on anyone. She had sent flowers on camera, and I think Mary was feeling, understandably sensitive when that happened and was like, Chelsea's trying to like benefit from my robbery was how it felt. I don't know if that was true or not. I have no idea. They are on a show, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you could get it's kind of like the social media thing. It's like, yeah, we're on a reality show here. But maybe Mary was thinking, we have our own beef. You using this to make yourself look better is annoying to me. And she actually kicked the cameras out when that happened. So there is a lot of like, parasocial's not the word, but like kind of fourth wall stuff. Fourth wall, happening within this season, which I find that stuff really interesting.
Same. Like my last two segments are about this issue, so I'll wrap them together so it's all at once. But exactly that, because one of my last segments was about Chelsea, but then my very last one I'll do first, which is something we've mentioned before. So Mary accusing producers of staging it. Like she was mad at Chelsea, but she was mad at producers. She was like, oh, this is why you're in my house. Like, this is what you're doing. You're here because of these flowers. She was off camera, but we could hear it hot mic'd. And she's like, I can't believe you would do this. Like, you're bringing this here just because. And they were like, no, she actually, out of the goodness of her heart, said she wanted to send you flowers. And she's like, I don't care. I don't believe it. Bullshit. Get the fuck out of my house. And so I thought that was really important because as I put this as something we've mentioned previously, because we've talked about producer antics and this idea that producers do produce and manipulate and create things. And so even though I actually agree that I don't know if you said this, but I definitely think that it was not their fault. Like, I don't think they were producing. I think they showed up because they knew the flowers were coming. I agree with that. But I don't think they made Chelsea send the flowers. And I don't think Chelsea sent the flowers to be manipulative either. I don't think either of those things happened. I think Chelsea genuinely, out of the goodness of her heart, as someone who had been robbed as a child, wanted to send that to, and also someone who, when she had cancer, whenever I think, or when she went through the divorce, I guess it was not cancer. When she went through the divorce, she had people reach out to her whom she wasn't close with, who sent her flowers and things, that it meant a lot to her. So I believe, as a Black woman, a member of a community that tends to be much more like family, if you're a Black community, that tends to much more give each other things in the wake of serious problems like that. I think to someone who's white, it felt like it crossed into a territory with Mary where she didn't believe it was true. Whereas for Chelsea, as someone in a Black community where that is true and they do that for each other, she was like, of course I'm going to send flowers, And so I genuinely believe Chelsea meant to do it in a positive way, much more out of a Black community sort of way of thinking about community, and that as a white woman in a white community didn't receive it that way. And so first, this is something we mentioned previously, such that her she brought it up to us. It made it very clear that producers really do that kind of shit. Because she was like, get the fuck out of my house. Like, she was like, this is the type of shit you do. Go. And so that really does reify all the things we've talked about on this show, and other shows I've talked about too, that this shit is so manipulated and so produced and so producer antic filled. So I loved that. That was very reifying for us. Very validating, affirming. The part that I put was like, it's something I thought people would mention the next day that they didn't. Is the stuff about Chelsea, because I felt like that was very racist how that went down. That she like, I feel like Chelsea has like saying that like Chelsea's fake, like she doesn't, her single mom thing doesn't count because she's, she has money. You're on a global show, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. She's Black. She has things you don't have too, as far as struggle, And so like that whole thing was so awful to like invalidate her single momdom and struggle based on Mary's single momdom struggle, where it's like she also had struggle that you will never understand. And so the way she came for her like that, even after asked about it, having reflected on it, even asked about it during the reunion, I still was like, you don't get it. Like, you do not get it. And Chelsea trying to be like, I've been through way horrible shit growing up. So like, I understood what this was like, so I was trying to like reach an olive branch, and I felt like Chelsea had to behave so carefully during the reunion. Like, she had to be so careful and be like, here's what I'm thinking. And like, because otherwise she'd be seen as the angry Black woman, when I felt like she had every right to be like, fuck you. I've been through my own shit. I don't get child support. Like, but she was very calm, very still, and like very clear in a way that like communicated what she needed to communicate. That is very good. And also I felt badly that like she definitely was under restraints that Mary wasn't because of her race.
Mary also on a previous season, like outfit shamed her when I think she had short shorts on or something, but they all wear outfits that show their skin. So to police something like that randomly on a Black woman is a really weird look, because they all do it. Yep. Like, it was just a bizarre choice. Like, I think maybe like short shorts or something. I don't know. But Mary choosing Chelsea as the one to like shame about that was just really interesting, because it's literally a part of the show. That's part of the assignment. So Chelsea was understanding the assignment.
Exactly.
And also, I truly believe that if Chelsea would have sent a text, like, I bet Mary would have found that, like, not right either. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
She would have been like lip service. You don't really care,
Right.
It's like, okay, but if I send flowers, I care too much. It must be manipulative.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's too much. Too much. And I'm so happy for Chelsea that she's found a new relationship. She seems really happy.
Oh, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I really liked her a lot, just from what I saw from the reunion. So good.
Yeah, she's like, right. And it's like, you can see why her and Chrishell sit together, because while being a sexual minority and a person of color are two different struggles, they both probably receive more hate on social media than everyone else in that room. Especially like with the MAGA leanings that we're seeing, as people maybe feel more emboldened to show their stripes.
Right. Right. And you can see that Chelsea has dealt with it longer, where she's like, okay, we know this is happening. So what do? We do our best to keep an olive branch out there. Whereas for Chrishell, she's like in the stage of sort of like, this is still very fucked up. Like, this is fucked up. No olive branch. Like, this is fucked. And so it's sort of interesting. They're at different stages in that, like, coping with oppression and marginalization.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it from me for this segment.
Right.
So
I'm talking.
Yeah.
There is a dinner at which Chelsea and Mary fight. Mary says, in the struggle of being a single mom, the single mom act is fake. She has a rich ex-husband paying for her support, and she's on a global TV show. So then Chelsea has to give like her CV of trauma to be understood, question mark. Brings up her childhood trauma of being robbed, tried to keep centering Mary, and also addresses the accusation that she's getting support from her ex-husband.
Yep.
Mary,
very skillfully done. Very skillfully done. That she kept Mary, like, the fact she kept Mary the center while still saying, here's what's wrong with what you said, was amazing. Very well done. Yeah.
Yeah. No notes. And Mary clearly doesn't want certain people to work at Oppenheim Group. And she does have kind of an in with Jason. But recognize or references it being the Jason and Brett's decision. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amanda asks that they all upsize their maturity and spread messages of love. Mary agrees emphatically, therefore with specific purpose. So,
yeah, I was like,
Sandra,
that's interesting. That's interesting. Like she was like, yes, absolutely. Like as if like it was just like the way she so emphatically agreed. I was like, okay, like you're clearly saying something. Like that's a you guy problem. Like you guys need to get better. Like the way she was doing it.
I'm perfect. She has a lot of like white woman perfectionism. I'm the nice one, so how could I ever do any harm sort of thing, which she probably needs to work on. Sandra Vergara is nodding as well with this message.
Which feels genuine. Like, I think Sandra is genuinely like, let's all just like get along, you know, and I believe that that's true. Yeah.
And that's it for our Selling Sunset. What a rich reunion.
We did. Yes, it was so rich. I definitely am so glad that you brought that up as like, I didn't need to see the show to get the richness out of the reunion because there was so much richness. You're so right. And like so much upsetting sociopolitical content that really was important to unpack. I'm really glad we did.
I'm sad that Chrishelle's leaving the show.
Me too.
And I totally understand. And, you know, and wishing her very well.
Yes, same. To the best for all of you, really. Like, hope for the best for all of you. And particularly, like, now I'm worried about Chelsea alone on that show also.
Yeah, seriously. Ugh.
Well, if you'd like to see more of our content, actually just see any of it, if you'd like to see video of our episodes, come to our patreon.com/realitytest, capital R, capital T. You can also go to Patreon and put in the search bar @ reality test, capital R, capital T. And then you can also find us on Instagram at reality test podcast, and also at things like TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at reality test pod. No podcast, just pod. The other thing, just mentioning quickly about Patreon, is that it's $5 measly a month. So come on down, because it's really not that much. And you get a lot of background stuff, like background behind the scenes footage, but then also like informational videos, mental health checkups where we talk about mental health concepts in depth. There's also our video episodes at all, and you get a full access to our audio archive. So all the old audio episodes too that are now not available for free. So check that out. And then when we have commercials soon, it will also be ad-free listening. The last thing is that we're also available by email if you want to email us at realitycheckpodding, PODDING, @gmail.com.
And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends. And yeah, $5 measly. Please do it. It helps us a lot. We know that you're listening. We see our stats. We're a Spotify rising star.
Yeah, baby.
It's just slipping that in. And so yeah, help us continue to do this thing that we love so much.
Yes, please. And pay our sound guy. And also, if you are friends of friends that you were brought here by your friends, thank you for being here. Hi, friends. And also bring your other friends too. Bring your friends. Hi, friends. And we will see you all next session. Bye.